Hello everybody, welcome back to the shop. It's a rainy evening here in Florida. What a perfect time to give you a little tour. Lots of people asking me about what kind of equipment I got, what the layout is, and a few people that even ask me, why do I always just see this? Well, here's the answer. There's 3 bays in the shop. A lot of times I have projects going on in the other bays, and I don't want you to look at my mess, so I shoot back this way. Tonight's a good night, no other projects going on, and I'm going to give you a quick tour, so let's get at it. We'll start over here in this corner, just some housekeeping items, brooms, floor jack, creepers, acetylene torch, my small portable bandsaw. I'm a particular fan of this one because it uses my porta band, one screw out of the bottom, and the porta band comes off. I can still use it. This particular table, the red part, was made by Swag. I don't know if you can see that, Swag Off-Road. They build them here in the USA. They laser cut them and put them together. I happened to buy the unassembled, unpainted version and painted it myself. And then I fixed it to this little roller cart that I wasn't using so I can move it around. Very efficient, works really, really well, and is super inexpensive. This is just a battery load bank tester for checking batteries and alternator starters, that kind of stuff. It's kind of old school, but I'm old school. This is a Lincoln MIG machine. I have my V205 TIG inverter here, my Power MIG 210MP MIG welder, Lincoln tomahawk, plasma cutter, parts cleaner tank. Got a cabinet with some consumable type stuff in it. And one of my more favorite items in the shop, this old grinder. This grinder, the patent date on it is 1893. It has grease cups, and the way this works, this cup screws off, you pack it full of grease, and as you screw it down, it greases the bearings. There's one on each side. Has no centrifugal switch in it, has a momentary switch you hold over, and then hit start, and then once it spins up, you let go. As my good friend Pat Kelly can tell you, this grinder is powerful enough to suck your finger off. Not that he actually lost his finger, but he came pretty close once. Didn't listen to me. This is a little Harbor Crap, little narrow belt sander. Needed it for one project and I keep it around. It comes in handy once in a while. These are a couple of gun projects here that we've got coming up. It's a couple things I got to repair. This is a bench grinder that I use specifically for grinding tungstens. It's tungsten only. You should not use your grinder that you use for grinding tungstens for TIG welding that you're going to use on anything else. The rest of this is what I call my clean bench. The reason I call it my clean bench is it's actually my dirty bench because it always gets filled up with junk. But whenever I have a project that I need to be really clean and like reassembly, I can wipe this stainless down real quick, get all the dust off it, and use it for reassembly. Here's a couple of GoPro cases. There's the radio my wife calls me on whenever she needs me to come to the house. From here, go to a couple of pedestal bench grinders. One of them's got a wire wheel and a couple of different grits of grinding wheels. This toolbox here and the one next to it are honestly just mechanics tools, sockets, wrenches, adapters, fittings, pullers, anything you can imagine. I've been turning wrenches since I was a pretty young man, so over the years I've collected quite a few tools. Above the toolbox is one of my funnily prized possessions. It's a giant wrench. It was given to me by my good friend Terry Cullen. That's my Mr. Big Wrench Award back when I was working at the city wrenching on different stuff. This is my big long welding table. It's about 11 feet long. I've got some projects on here that I'm working on. Underneath I've got jack stands and a bunch of dunnage. There's all my welding clamps. Got just a couple of shop vacs, and then in the back there it's kind of hiding, but that's my Fume Extractor, my Lincoln Fume Extractor, and that thing's kind of like a shop vac, except that it vacuums out all the bad weld fume. I will show you on this long table, it's a little over 11 feet long, there's a vise here, and then way down there is another vise, And these vices are in a straight line so that if I work on a shaft or a pipe and I need to hold on to it, I can grab onto it with both vices rather than just one end. I made this weld table a bunch of years ago. It's about a 1/2 inch thick. It's all solid. Got it welded together and then found out that the people who built this shop didn't do a very good job leveling the floor. So I had to put shims underneath the table to get it level. And I'm pretty proud of the fact that it is very level. Let me show you one of my projects. This one's pretty cool. Keith Rucker, this one's for you. This is a rotary indexing head. I bought it. It was pretty junked up. I've gone through it. Not quite done with it. I'm adapting some different sets of plates for it. When I get time, I gotta get in the mill. It's only taken me about 6 months to go through this thing. But Keith Rucker inspired me to tear this one apart and rebuild it, so it's pretty much completely redone. Just got a rag over it to keep all the dust and whatnot off it. The bugs. We have a lot of bugs here in Florida. I'll finish that later. Over here is my lathe. It is a Republic Lagoon lathe. I bought it. I actually traded for it and traded for a little, I think with a little bit of money. And it had a bunch of blown gears in the gearbox, 5 blown gears. They don't manufacture those gears anymore, but I was able to locate some new old stock. And then I found a local guy that had the correct hob to cut one of the gears for me. It's just a quick look at it. It is a little long in the tooth. It's been abused a lot. Rode hard, put away wet. It's still pretty accurate. It's accurate enough to do anything that I need to do. Cuts all kinds of thread pitches and gear setups. And I have another project right here. I did not have a center for the lathe. I found this one for $4 at a swap meet, so I need to modify that to go on the lathe. Another project for another rainy day. So we left off over the toolboxes. I have my Ellis power feed drill press. If you are looking for an American assembled product, I highly recommend this one. All the parts are not made in the USA, and I talked to Jim Ellis, the owner of this company, and he said right now he can't founder the parts and make money on the drill press. He said it's just not possible in the United States. However, he is working very hard to try to do that. All the parts are foundered somewhere else, probably over the big pond. However, they are all brought here and machined, and they assemble these here in the United States of America. The motor, I believe, is a USA motor. It is a VFD driven machine, variable frequency drive. Of course, none of those will be made here. This one is a Mitsubishi, I believe, which is a pretty good unit. It's made in Japan. It has 2-speed power feed on it for auto feed, so you can engage the power feed and just let it drill the hole for you so it doesn't grab or jerk. You can also set it so that when it drills a hole so deep, if you're drilling a lot of holes, it will automatically disengage and back itself back out of the hole. This is my Ellis belt grinder. Works very similar to a regular grinder, except this thing hogs metal off like there's no tomorrow. The tool rest comes out of the way. You can contour, do grinding on the contour. You can flip the tool rest back down and you have grinding on the flat. Works very, very good. Removes a lot of metal really fast. Over here's my blast cabinet. Own several of these, several different blast cabinets. I ran across this one, was a Craigslist find for me, and it's an Empire blast cabinet, and I was tickled pink when I found it. Didn't work. All the guts were missing. So it opens this way. Now, if you know anything about blast cabinets, most blast cabinets open on the side, which is a pain because you can't put anything over here. This blast cabinet opens the front, but check this out. This opens this way. That's pretty awesome because that leaves a 4-foot by 4-foot opening to get big things in, like engine blocks or cylinder heads. Blast cabinet has to have a way to get all the dust out of it so that you can see while you're blasting. This came when I bought it with the dust collector for it, but it only made it about 2 years and the motor went bad. And Empire wants more for a motor than a whole new dust extractor. And I found this one for a mere few $100s, and it's a Trenco. It's basically a top of the line, and it had all new filters in it when I bought it. So I had to do some adapting to make it work, and it's about 14 times too big, and it'll almost suck the gloves out of this machine, but no worries, it works well. Over here I've got one of my heavy TIG machines. It's a pretty tight machine inverter. And over here I have my Pro Mill, which is a 54-inch, I believe it's 54-inch table milling machine with a DRO. The DRO works good. Unfortunately, when I got it, or the reason I got it, it was broken. I have repaired it, and it's up and running. Got a little tramming to do on the head, but other than that, we're ready to cut up some metal. Back here is my rotophase. I don't have 3-phase, is not available here. So I make my own 3-phase. I backfeed it into a 3-phase conduit here that I put in, and basically feed the whole shop with 3-phase that's made from that rotophase. And basically how it works, it's an electric motor. Creates a 3rd phase using that 220 power right there. So the 220 power feeds in. When it's plugged in, I unplug everything because of the lightning here. So when it feeds in, then it feeds back 3-phase to anything else in the shop that's 3-phase. This is one of my favorite welders. It's a Lincoln C300, and it's a pulse MIG. It has a Python push-pull gun, and I used this a lot when I was building a lot of tanks. It can flat lay down some aluminum weld very fast. This toolbox over here is full of machining tidbits. Things that we use to, like, in the mill and the lathe. There's all end mills. If you're looking like this drawer, it's all full of reams, clamps, that sort of thing. So basically all it is stuff for the mill and for the lathe. Next to that is my hydraulic press. You know, it's an over-the-pond made 20-ton hydraulic press that I've kind of souped up a little bit. It's got a Harbor Junk pneumatic over hydraulic pump in it, hydraulic cylinder. I upgraded that because I was doing a lot of pressing, and it makes it a lot faster. And then down here is another thing that's made by Swag Off-Road, and this is a finger brake for a 20-ton press. I've got a bunch of different dies that go in it, so I can break finger boxes and do finger joints for different setups. Got a lot of time and a lot of money invested in the next thing on the wall. That's all hardware. It's stainless and SAE and USS, no metric. I live about 15 minutes to the closest gas station and about another 10 to the next hardware store. So I don't like stopping what I'm doing for hardware. So I've invested a lot of time and money in hardware. I also have, like you would have at a hardware store, just everything you can kind of think of firsthand you would need. Roll pins, hitch pins, set screws, grommets, heat shrink tubing, zip ties, machine screws, cotter pins, that sort of thing for the same reason. Over here is another shop fan. It gets pretty warm in here, especially in the afternoon with the west sun. So I've got 2 of these bad boys. You come over here, you will see the other shop fan, and then my Infeed table. This right here is just temporary. I'll go over that in a minute. Normally I can walk through here, but this is an Infeed table for my Ellis Bandsaw. This is an Ellis 1800. I bought this when a company was going out of business, and it's kind of what turned me on to Ellis, because this thing is so precise. I can take a piece of square tubing, like 2x2 square tubing, and shave less than a 1/16 off it in a miter, and it will do it the same thickness all the way through. Once I got this machine set up and adjusted and started using it, I fell in love with it, and that's actually what turned me on to Ellis equipment. It's also made here in the United States of America. Not much is anymore. Got about 6 feet outfeed roller here to catch your drop-offs. I can do a full stick here in the shop, 24-foot stick. I have to be a little creative, but I can almost always get it cut here. Probably one of my favorite welding machines here in the shop is this one. That's a Lincoln Electric 350 MP. That's a programmable pulse MIG machine, and that thing will flat get it welded. This box is all machinist tools. It's a Kennedy on top of a Kennedy with some homemade type side boxes on it. I bought the box used. It belonged to a man named Sam Medlin. He was a machinist for Walt Disney World. He used to tow this all through Walt Disney World here in Orlando. He worked for Central Shops for 35 years, and I was fortunate enough to acquire from his widow some of his tools. Now, there's a lot of my tools in there too, but I left his name on the box in remembrance of him because he's a pretty cool guy from everybody that I know that knows him. So it's just full of all machinist bits, dial indicators, micrometers, dial calipers, just everything that we would use when we're doing machine work. Bottom's full of the same and fixturing. My 4-jaw chucks, 3-jaw chucks, cutters, all kinds of stuff. Pull back here and show you there's that chop fan. I don't have it running right this minute because you couldn't hear me over the roar. I acquired this cabinet, and this cabinet is full of a bunch of tidbits. Some of it's junk and some of it's some really neat stuff. I have not had time. I've been so busy to finish going through it. The cabinet will go away. I just want what's inside it once I get to go through it. Being a fireman, we have fire extinguishers just about everywhere. There's another one over here on the floor, and I have a dry chem one. It's actually in the shed right now, a big 20-pound dry chem. So, don't know whether you'll be able to see it because it's raining, but there is a crane, a boom crane there. It's a half-ton. I don't have the chain fall on it. Right now, when I poured all this concrete outside the shop, I poured it extra thick over in that area and put mat, and then my buddy that Aaron Reedy that helped me pour it, he put commercial grade fiber in all the concrete. So we'll get the camera out of the rain. When I bought the place, it was an empty building, unfinished, no electricity, no concrete outside, no doors, no paint, no nothing. I run all my own electrical. It's a 400 amp service for the shop, 200 amps to the inside, and then another 200 when I one day get to add on. So that's a 200 amp panel back there. I did all my conduit. I was fortunate enough to have an in-law who helped me a little bit with the electrical. But that's my shop. I hope you've enjoyed this little tour. Had a good time. Take care. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed what you saw here today. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and like us on Facebook, please. Somewhere down below here is a link. We've got a lot more really cool stuff coming. Is that right, camera guy? Is there a link down there? Send me a comment. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Click whatever link. Click something. See you soon.